This is Entertainment for Review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at another episode of Boy Meets World. Today's episode is Season 1, Episode 4, Corey's Alternative Friends. In this episode, the students in Corey's class have been given group projects to present together, and Corey and Sean team up, but this doesn't go well, as when they go up, they basically make a joke out of it, and Mr. Feeney says he takes the blame because he let them pick their own partners. He's going to give them another chance, but he's going to assign the partners. He puts Sean with Minkus and puts Corey with Topanga. Now here we are, 4 episodes in, and this is Topanga's first appearance. Now she would become a main character and a core cast member. I always find it funny that it took 4 episodes to bring her in, and she's not in the theme song of this season. Which makes me wonder if she was originally intended to be a recurring character, or just a one-off character, or a periodic character. And I wonder if the decision to add her permanently was made after this episode. Topanga's portrayed a little weirdly, so Corey's naturally not happy about being paired with her for this project, and that's his first problem for this episode. The second problem comes later when he's in the cafeteria, and he hears some girls talking about his hair, or so he thinks. So he goes and asks Sean for help, and Sean says he'll talk to his sister and see if she has something that can straighten Corey's hair. Later in Corey's kitchen, him and Topanga are practicing for the new project, which is going to be on the ozone layer, and Topanga's idea is to do an interpretive dance along with Corey reading a poem. As they practice, Corey reads the poem and she proceeds to dance around the room and even paints lipstick all over her face. Corey is mortified at the thought of having to do this in front of the class, but when Sean gets there with the hair product, he has bigger concerns at that very moment, so he tells Topanga that they can do it and sends her out. Corey and Sean go upstairs and they try to apply the product, and it's in Corey's hair and he says it starts to burn, and it's been on for about 45 minutes. Sean calls his sister and she says that's way too long and he should have taken it out long before that. When Corey does take it out, his hair is straight, but it also looks like it's made of plastic and more of a helmet than actual hair, and a comb can't even go through it. In actuality, this is probably a wig, and Corey tells his family that he doesn't want to go to school the next day, but of course they make him. In class, it's time for Corey and Topanga to present their new project, and Mr. Feeney makes Corey take off his hat, much to his dismay, and he gets laughed at by the class. This continues at lunchtime, as even Sean laughs at him when he comes to sit with him, so instead, Corey goes to sit at another table when Topanga offers him a seat, and this table is basically for students who are considered nerds or unusual in any way, and it includes Topanga and Minkus, and some other kids. As Corey's there, they also tell him about another problem they're all having. They're trying to get students to sign a petition to help a teacher who's being forced by the Board of Education to retire due to old age. Corey doesn't really share their concern for the issue, but he says he'll help. Back at his house, Corey has come up with another plan to try to fix his hair. He's put it in curlers. This leads to Eric coming in and taking a picture that he can use to later blackmail Corey, saying he owns him now. Unfortunately for Corey, this does not help his hair dilemmas, as when he comes in to meet up with the other kids to put their plan into action, his hair is now sticking straight up in the air. So the plan that they've all come up with is to handcuff themselves together, forming a human chain to block the exit as students are trying to leave on Friday afternoon. At first, they're all just upset about being blocked, but Corey makes a pretty persuasive argument, and they agree to go to the cafeteria and sign the petition. Then the other members leave, leaving just Corey and Topanga still handcuffed together. He says something, and Corey's concerned that she's going to kiss him. She says that would be an interesting idea, and so she does, and they do kiss. This is not only their first kiss together, but individually it's their first kiss either one has had. And it leaves Corey looking pretty shocked. We close the episode with Corey in the cafeteria. His hair is finally back to normal, and he confronts the girls who talked about his head, or again, so he thought, because they reveal that they weren't talking about him, and they say they would never be that bored. Corey gets another invitation to sit at Topanga's table, but this time he says he's going to sit with his friends. They all say they understand, but there'll always be a seat open for him if he ever needs it. We close the episode with Corey going back to sit with his normal friends and agreeing to go play football later, and then him and Topanga share a final look at each other. I do have a lot of thoughts on this episode. One thing, as I said, this is the first appearance of Topanga. Topanga goes through a lot of changes in this show, and this is a very early version of Topanga. She's young, and she's played as this kind of hippie-ish, very spiritual girl. She has long wavy hair and odd outfits that I think give off that hippie-ish vibe, and we see that she refers to her parents by their first names. A lot does change with Topanga later in the show, but one thing that's established here right off the bat is that her and Corey do have an immediate connection. She is very important to Corey learning his lesson in this episode because he's upset about being paired with a kid who's deemed as weird, and then he himself in this episode becomes weird because of his hair. Learns that he should still be accepted either way. Probably think twice about judging kids for being weird himself. Another interesting point in this episode is that Sean has a sister. This is something that is basically dropped later because later in the show there's no mention of a sister of Sean. You know that he does have a brother, but no sister. Sean's family lineage in the show is ever changing. There is a first attempt at establishing that he has a potential half-brother a little bit later in the show, and then that's dropped as well. Then we later see that he does have a half-brother who joins the cast later in the show. That's not unusual for shows. A lot of times they'll have characters either mentioned or introduced, and then they decide to go a different direction later. It's interesting when you go back and watch these early episodes to notice these little things. I would score this first appearance of Topanga at a very good 9 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments section below. What did you think of Topanga's first appearance in the series? Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for my next video coming soon.